Hello there and a very warm welcome. You're watching this special broadcast here on CNN News 18 on the battle for Bihar. It's a battle for pride and prestige, a battle between experience on the one side and youth on the other. It's a fight for the women vote, it's a fight for the youth vote, it's also a battle of alliances which are vying for majority in the 243-seat Assembly of Bihar. In the first phase, last week, 121 seats went to polls. Tomorrow, in less than 12 hours from now, there will be 122 seats that will go to polls. The NDA is citing its strong track record and seeking another term for Nitish Kumar, who's been in power virtually uninterrupted for the last 20 years. The Mahagathbandhan, on the other hand, is banking on its promises, and its promises particularly to the youth of Bihar. And then there is also the Prashant Kishore factor, who's also trying to appeal to the youth in Bihar. Will he cut votes? Will he emerge as a kingmaker? Before we get a sense of the mood on the ground, let me introduce all our Network 18 reporters and editors who are joining us on this special broadcast. I'll start from my right. Mr. Anand Narasimhan, Managing Editor at CNN News 18, fresh off great weather in New Zealand.
5 AQI.
5 AQI. Welcome to 400 AQI.
Yeah.
And on my left, Rahul Shivshankar, Consulting Editor with Network 18. He's doing well in 500 AQI from the looks of it. His skin is glowing as always.
Skin is glowing as always, and no blotches anywhere, except for, of course, political analysis, because I just hope we don't get it wrong.
Our political editor, Aman Sharma, Arunima, our senior editor, Pallavi Ghosh, our senior editor, they've all traveled to Bihar over the last month and a half since this campaign began. And a special aspect of this show, we are teleporting live from Bihar, from Patna. We're beaming live. Two of our senior reporters who are there on the ground. Payal Mehta is joining us and Arun Dhanta is joining us. So welcome to the show, folks. Before we begin this special coverage over the next 1 hour or so as we set up for Phase 2, I want to bring you up to speed with the sound bites of the last month and a half of this campaign. It was strong, it was fiery, it was led by the Prime Minister on the one side, Rahul Gandhi on the other. A quick recap and then we'll set it up for you as to what this second and final phase in Bihar actually boils down to.
लालू के बेटे और राहुल को जो करना है वो करने दो। मैं आज सासाराम की भूमि पर से कहकर जाता हूँ, बिहार और देश से एक एक घुसपैठिए को चुन चुन कर हम निकालने का काम।
बिहार के युवा को रोजगार चाहिए तो उसे दूसरे प्रदेशों में जाके मजदूरी करनी पड़ती है। मैं चाहता हूं कि फिर से इस बिहार में दुनिया की सबसे अच्छी हाई क्वालिटी की यूनिवर्सिटीज बने।
It's been record-tod voting, viewers. Record-tod voting that has happened in Phase 1. Even if you look at the past data of Bihar, be it Assembly or Lok Sabha, this number has not been matched. But how much is the factor that there have been so many who have been bumped off the voter list and there have been fresh additions? Has SIR played a role in cleaning up the poll sheet and also giving you apt numbers for Bihar? Let's try and tell you some key highlights for Phase 2. As we also look back on Phase 1 and see how, and this time you got to see, it's two phases. So Bihar is carved and curved differently. 122 seats in Phase 2, it was 121 in Phase 1. 1,302 candidates. 1,302 candidates in the fray. 526 of them are crore-patis. And Bihar is supposed to be a Bimaru state. Think about it. Now, 2020, Phase 1 scorecard, the NDA had 66 seats. The INDIA had 49. But this was where the NDA caught up in the 2020 elections, phase 2 and 3. Phase 1 had gone away from them. But in this case, is a story different. A historic 65% voter turnout in phase 1. Like I said, that number is important. When does a voter come out in large numbers? When they want to retain the same government, when they want to vote out the existing government, or when they want to come out and exercise their franchise in pure all right and honesty? That's what's important. How it turns out, everybody's going to think about this. What the exit polls say will also be important. And you got to tune in to CNN News 18 for that. Meanwhile, 32% of the candidates face criminal charges also, cases also. So similar number of crorpatis and similar number of percentile of those with criminal cases. 48 seats with a migrant vote factor. Chhat ho gaya. 10 din ke baad, will people stay back and will they continue to vote? It's important. Seemanchal region, the SIR impact is in focus. How many of those who are struck out from the voter list are part of this outer curve, which is now going to go into the polls? And will the Prime Minister's 5K attack actually resonate? Well, it's the battle for Bihar. This is the big phase, the final race of 122 seats, and everybody is going to be in for it. But critically importantly, that SIR, that voter list, how many of those 42 lakh who have been struck off the list and the 21 lakh who have come in are part of this phase? That's going to be critical. Zaka Jacob.
So I think the two factors, and when we're talking about this, I think it'll get accentuated in this phase. And Rahul, you can weigh in. I think this is the phase in the last election, particularly in the northern Bihar constituencies, where the women voter outvoted the male voter, and thereby it gave a huge fillip to the NDA. This is also the same parts of Bihar where you have the maximum sort of exodus of young people leaving because of migrant labor, because of lack of employment opportunities. And frankly, for the Gathbandhan, I think this is a make or break phase. This is where they kind of lost the election last time around. And who knows, if they don't get their act together, they might lose this time around as well.
Yeah, there are, look, 122 seats, as we already said, but this is a very important region because it covers Seemanchal. And Seemanchal demography is a bit different from the rest of the state. So demography here seems to suggest that 47% of the population here on an average across constituencies is Muslim.
So almost 1 in 2.
Yeah, so this is 3 times more than the average for the rest of the state, which is 17%. And here also, it is in the Seemanchal area where the SIR, a large number of voters found themselves excommunicated from the list. So there's that issue. And if you've been listening to the Prime Minister, the focus suddenly, as well as Amit Shah, the focus is moved from governance to demography. A lot of talk about infiltrators, infiltration, the reason why the SIR is being opposed because of infiltration and so on and so forth. And there are about 24 seats that hang in the balance here. They're swing seats. The region itself is a swing region. So this is where this election will either see the BJP really, if it has done well in phase 1, and there is reason to believe, given the fact that the turnout was so good, that it might actually accelerate towards, the NDA might accelerate towards greater goals, or they might get pulled back because of the counter consolidation. The other important point is in this particular phase, it's the little bit parties. All of the LJP seats, Maji's Ham, all of them in the contest this time. So if
similarly VIP on the
VIP
other side.
on the other side. So this is really the small engines that have to sort of run with the bigger ones and pull them along this sort of big railroad.
Last time the left also pulled a lot of weight and heft. AIMIM made a dent. So those are all important. But currently in this studio, it feels like Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Because we are the guys who don't count to Bihar. But you don't need to travel to Bihar. Bihar is everywhere. And everybody, one thing that any average Bihari, any person you meet who's from Bihar, they are politically clued in. So I actually spoke with Biharis in New Zealand when I had traveled at that time. And there were a whole bunch and they had so many insights to give them from different regions. So it was amazing. But let's do the real Lok part in terms of our reporters who all traveled, and some of them still there. Payal, Arun are there. Aman was one of the first to hit the ground, and then there was Pallavi and Arunima also, and she's going to go back again into Bihar. We've traveled the length and breadth of poll-bound Bihar. We've gauged the pulse of Bihar like no other channel viewers. Our team has traveled across Siwan, Mokama, Rohtas, Nalanda, Bhagalpur, Darbhanga, Sasaram, Chhapra, Gopalganj, Vaishali, Lalganj, Danapur, Samastipur, Katihar, Bihar Sharif, Harnaut, Bar, Alinagar, Mahua, Patna, Kishanganj, Bhagalpur.
It's almost 243.
Almost there.
Sounds like 243.
जो बच गया वो Payal और Arun are doing it. So let's just, before we bring it into the studio, let's ask those who are on ground. Payal, Arun, take it away. Tell us what's the mood after phase 1? Which are the key fights to look for in this phase 2? And is this voter turnout going to be again record tode?
Let me begin by saying that this is a very, very important election as far as one party is concerned. There is no doubt whatsoever. Everybody is going to watch and see what happens to Asaduddin Owaisi's MIM. Last time around, he managed to get 4 to 5 seats, but 4 of them were stolen away, according to him, by the RJD. So that's going to be one key aspect. But if you ask the BJP floor managers who've been crisscrossing the state, they are of the belief that Asaduddin Owaisi is likely to get 3 seats. What they interestingly, their observation really has been is that, if the Muslims vote, they vote en masse, they vote in one bloc, whether it is in favor of Owaisi in 3 to 4 seats, or they vote completely in favor of the RJD on some of the seats. So it's a very important election for the survival of Mr. Owaisi in Bihar in particular, because he was considered to be the vote Katwa party, but he's now competing with Prashant Kishore as who is the biggest vote Katwa party.
Right. Arun, quickly on the BJP, वो क्या कर रहे हैं?
Well, Anand, we saw this massive rise in the first phase of polling of course, voter turnout, and that's what we are expecting in the second phase. Now, let me quickly tell you how this has been. I've been speaking to various BJP leaders. They've been saying that this is because of that 10 Hazari scheme A, that women have come out in large numbers to cast their votes. And secondly, what they are saying, because we've reported this also, Anand, that how BJP, not at the state level, but even in other states, they have ensured that who are, migrant workers who are outside the state, they come back. The facilitation was done. Here in the state, certain responsibilities were given, and even states like Haryana, where you have this massive chunk of migrant workers, there also few leaders were given responsibility that ensure that people can, come back to Bihar and cast their votes, and also most importantly, Anand, to ensure them to keep them here in Bihar for the polling, because of course they were at home for the festivities, and there was this period of 4 days. That's something which was very specific, and few leaders in fact spoke to the owners of their companies where these migrant laborers are working, ensured that their pays are not cut. They've done their bit, whatever they could do to ensure that people stay back and cast their votes in large numbers.
So the migrant workers become an important part, but Pallavi, Arunima and Aman, between yourselves, start with the far corner, Pallavi. Who's recalibrating? The last time around, it was the BJP and the NDA that recalibrated after phase 1. Who's recalibrating this time around? Is there a shift in their strategy, or are they still going the same tempo and the same lines, both sides?
See, we did notice those voices in a change in strategy, as far as, not change in strategy, I would say the narrative, because this is also the belt where we talk about that insurgents. So we heard a Giriraj Singh, I remember, he talked about the fact that ye vote hoga, is mudde pe hoga, outsiders coming in. It's also a border area, many of them with Bengal, I noticed. So that is going to be where we began by talking about SIR, I think in terms of the Mahagathbandhan, but more in terms of the Congress party. They've put a lot of stress on the SIR. In fact, even as we speak, I'm seeing the Congress leaders putting out on their WhatsApp group that this is what we are going to do if we come to power. This is what our vote chori is all about. And in every possible rally and campaign, Rahul Gandhi has not let go of the vote chori issue. Despite the fact that his own ally and his bestie in Bihar, which is Tejashwi Yadav, is not very comfortable with this whole vote chori narrative, because he doesn't think it works on the ground. I never found that. I mean, as I said the last time around we were discussing this, people were talking about it. But agar unko sawal pucho, to they'll talk about vote chori, haan, aisa hai, Rahul Gandhi ne bola. But it's not a political narrative or a slogan on which they're going to vote for. So in the Mahagathbandhan, the stress is on, I'm going to deliver, give me a chance. I'm going to get you a new Bihar where I'm going to get you jobs and a law and order situation. That is somewhat which Tejashwi Yadav knows is his weak spot. So he's going on talking about the fact that, give me a chance and look at the other side. I mean, the Anand Singh issue, I mean, they'll bear out how much it matters. But I found a large number of women. They're looking for a lot of investment, and investments have a thing of going away or not coming in if there's a law and order situation. I talk about my home state of Bengal, and that's also one thing which the left always found a difficulty with, which Mamata Banerjee is also working upon now, that I'm going to give you a smooth governance so that people come and invest. So that's one factor. Well, the BJP has been pretty much, and Nitish Kumar have been talking about the fact that, development model, development lana hai.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but you talked about the gang wars, the law and order and all. Mokama, to aap to kafi rahi maa?
Ji. So Mokama has cast its vote in phase 1. I'm seeing this election in 2 areas. One is Magad, which is Gaya, Aurangabad, that area, famous for CPI ML, famous for Naxalism. If you remember the 2005 Jahanabad famous jailbreak, where Naxals managed to release almost all of their cadre from the jail, some Ranveer Sena activists as well. And the police, there's a bridge that connects you to the Jahanabad town when you come from the Patna side. That bridge had 200, 300 kilograms worth of IEDs placed so that police could not cross over. From then till now, in 20 years, Bihar has come a long way. Aurangabad, Jahanabad are no longer on the list that MHA has now released of Naxal-affected states. So finally, they're voting with a different paradigm. So that is different, definitely something to watch out for. The sense I got in Magad was people are unhappy with their local MLAs, but they would still perhaps go ahead and vote for Nitish Kumar because his image is intact. That situation is different in North Bihar. Araria, Purnia, Katihar. Why? Because there are all these smaller players that you spoke about. There's Asaduddin Owaisi, there's Jan Suraj Party, there's Malla. This is also the belt which has the Musahar community. Musahar, as the name suggests, are the community which is at the bottom of the rung of the caste structure. Musa is rat. So they survived on eating rats. So this EBC, if you see the EBC pie, there are Musahar, there are Mallas, there are Dhanuks, there are Koiris, small groups which have 2.5% vote share. When I was asking them whether your life has improved, they still have a long way to go, but under Nitish Kumar regime, definitely some improvement has happened. So if the EBC consolidates, and if the Muslim and Yadav Mahila also decides to break rank to some extent, then RJD is in trouble. And I went to Yadav bastions asking them ki 10,000 rupees mila ya nahi. There's a reason this election is being called 10,000 chunav. They're all accepting ki paise mile. They're all accepting कि जिंदगी भी इससे सुधरी है, चाहे मुसलमान महिला हो चाहे यादव महिला हो. तो इसमें से if even 2% or 3% break rank, RJD का नुकसान है. And Asaduddin Owaisi and Jan Suraj, whether they win seats or they don't win seats in this belt, if the Muslim voter decides to even 5, 10, 15 of them, if they decide to give these parties a chance, Tejashwi Yadav's equation.
On that point, last time, Owaisi was the big breakout in Bihar. He got 5 MLAs. I think after the election, all 5 ended up joining the RJD. So for the Muslim voter, you've tried and tested him, and it seems like his people are going away back to the RJD anyway. So it's a wasted vote.
Yeah, it seems
Why would you waste your vote?
So a lot of young, voters there. When you ask them about Owaisi, some of them will say कि सिर्फ वही है जो मुसलमानों की बात करते हैं ना, बाकी सब लोग नहीं करते. But I will be watching more keenly how they go with the Jan Suraj party, because the young voters here, irrespective of which caste, which community, they seem to be going to Prashant Kishore's road shows in these parts.
Again, will he get 5% vote, 10% vote and 0 seats?
He could get even 2%, but that would damage RJD.
Ultimately, Aman, the point is, we all talked about this. He had a great opportunity, maybe not on this election, but the fact that he decided not to contest, that's a complete damn squib. You're the general leading your army into battle. You can't leave the battlefield.
इतना बड़ा balloon बना के पिस्क करके खुद ही फोड़ दिया.
That's what traditionally in Bihar, if you see in the last many elections, Zaka, a party which is contesting outside the 2 traditional alliances generally does not fare well. We've seen it with Chirag Paswan in the last election. He was seen as the X factor, but he did not end up winning anything. Himself told this to me that I was seen as an X factor. But outside an alliance, people don't take you seriously in Bihar. I think Prashant Kishore is facing the same problem. And also, as you correctly say, he told me in an interview that it's very much possible I will fight from Raghopur. I went the next to Raghopur. When he went there, he traveled the entire area, and after 2 days we got this inexplicable decision that he will not contest. I think if Prashant Kishore did contest from Raghopur, he may have lost, because of 70% Yadav seat. He may have lost it.
On the day of the voting, I was in Raghopur. There was nothing about Jan Suraj, all for RJD.
Exactly. So he may have lost, but I think his party, his candidates would have got a fillip. More media coverage, more conversation over them. It would have helped the party.
Media coverage is okay, but
he started about 18 months ago, right? He said, I'm going to go from district to district, I'm going to appoint
3 years
people.
actually. He's been there. Yeah.
3 years he's been doing groundwork, but last 18 months to 24 months, he's put in a lot of effort. So, who was he then acting in behalf of?
Well,
was it the NDA or was it the RJD?
Well, right now,
because he pulled out of Raghopur.
Right now, if you see, Anand,
and he just said कि अगर वो 2.5% खींचता है तो RJD का नुकसान होगा. तो
if you see right now, I think the three parties which are contesting outside an alliance, AIMIM, Jan Suraj Party and Tej Pratap. All three are outside the alliance and all three of them are splitting in a way to some sense the anti-incumbency vote. They're going to hurt the RJD. BJP is very happy that all these three parties, you see BJP leaders saying Tej Pratap is the X factor in this election. They're deliberately saying so.
Central security also.
Central security.
Yeah.
They are deliberately doing it to prop up Tej Pratap so that, he hurts the RJD. But that all said, if you ask me the larger point of this election, I agree with Arunima, this is the 10,000 election. We have to understand this is the first time in Bihar that such a huge amount of money is being given to the woman voter. Cycles have been given earlier, prohibition was brought, but 10,000 rupee to a woman in a village in Bihar is a huge deal. This is perhaps the first time she has got so much of her own money.
Women outnumbered men?
Of course, totally. Election Commission has not given the data yet, but anecdotal evidence
shows that they have.
No, but this 6.5. So yesterday, we had this political analyst come to our studios last weekend, and he said the per capita income in Bihar is 6,500 rupees.
Exactly.
10,000 rupees every Mahila has got. I mean, 1.3, 1.4 crore women
Can I
have
share
got.
with you one small anecdote that I told Aman the other day? You know what is happening now? The male voters in villages are saying, इनको तो इतना सर चढ़ा दिया है, ये ससुराल छोड़ के मायके चली जाती है, हमसे पूछती भी नहीं, हमसे सुनती भी नहीं है. So women empowerment.
That's a story we see in state. I mean, Madhya Pradesh also they say the same thing.
Women empowerment is directly linked to financial ability. See, that's one of the game changers that the RSS had thought about, and I think the BJP has implemented.
Yes, but Anand, in this election in Bihar, why it's different? Women empowerment here is being tied up with women security.
Yeah.
When have the last time you've seen Prime Minister Modi speak from an election stage about katta, donali, rangdari, these kind of words being used right from the top of the Prime Minister is telling the woman voter that please be aware, please be very wary, if your vote goes wrong, the RJD is going to come back. So a lot of BJP's campaign, right from the top to the other leaders, is also about telling the voters about this fear that don't bring the RJD back, those old days will be back. And I think the Prime Minister said
we'll come to Mahila back in a bit. There's the Manifesto competition we'll talk about. But quickly, Payal, and to all of you, ये NDA में तालमेल है कि घालमेल है? This time around in this election.
नहीं, NDA में proper तालमेल है. There is.
And also with the
NDA में पूरा तालमेल है. There is no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. And like our colleagues have been reporting, that we've had the RSS come on ground, work really hard on ground and made all the difference that actually they do. That is the difference between 2024 and the election at the assembly that you've seen after that as well, Anand. And that is one thing which is going to come out very, very clear. If there was any element of doubt in people's mind and if there was any anything which actually wanted to be proved otherwise by the opposition, that clarification has also come in from the likes of Amit Shah and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That Nitish Kumar is going to be the chief ministerial face even after the election results are out. So, coordination is hardly their problem. Just the other day, I ran into VIP's Mukesh Sahni. He seems to be looking very, very depressed and very, very disappointed because he felt that, the campaign went all over the place. There's the same sentiment that you see around the RJD as well. They seem to be thinking that, probably something else was promised to them. So one BJP leader said one thing very interesting to them. I asked him, what is the strategy you think as far as the campaign is concerned of the opposition? They really said that they are of no avail and they can't come in together. So that very important anecdote he gave me that, opposition की हालत ऐसी है कि आप किसी नंगे के शहर में धोबी की दुकान नहीं खोल सकते.
That's a nice one. But इसमें एक और interesting बात ये है कि किसी ने मुझे संघ का somebody said, I can't name the person, they said महिलाएं, मैं खुद अपना वोट डालने आया हूँ, but महिलाएं बढ़ चढ़ के वोट कर रही हैं, ये अच्छे संकेत है. That's the only thing that was said during the polling was still on during the day. After that, there's not been much said. How critical is this Mahila factor? Let's try and understand that. And because both sides have tried to use it in their manifesto war. And then we got to get Zaka back on the magic wall to explain this entire phase also in a bit. So let's try and understand this, viewers. Both camps are vying for the Mahila and the Yuva vote. That's the MY factor this time. It's not the Muslim Yadav factor. So let's try and understand these two parts quickly. Yeah, there they are.
10K grant support up to 2 lakh rupees for women. Many people are saying they've got this money. From this side, it says 30,000 one-time payout, permanent government job. Now, the numbers belie this claim of permanent government job. The NDA manifesto says 1 lakh jobs we will create, not necessarily in government. 1 crore jobs, actually, they've said, and employment opportunities will be created. So, not necessarily sarkari jobs. That's what they've said. 1 government job for each family in Bihar is the INDA commitment. There aren't so many jobs. How are they going to create such government-driven jobs? That's the other question many are asking. But if it's possible, then perhaps only Tejashwi can do it. Honorarium hike to rupees 3,000 for the ASHA workers. Big impact. These ASHA workers were the backbone of the entire COVID plan, management plan when the migrants came, and the ASHA workers have been hailed oftentimes by the Prime Minister. But will they yield? That's one question. Government status, government job status for contractual workers, says the INDIA. On both sides, there has been a huge amount of trying to woo the youth and the Mahila, focused on existing EWS reservation, and they have promised to raise 50% cap on reservation. So let's try and just understand this fact. How is it that the male folk, largely Rahul Shivshankar, get in on this, are divided by caste, but the Mahila tends to rise above the caste. In fact, she is even rising above the writ of the household or the head of the house, traditional in a patriarchal family. The male of the house will decide who will vote. All that's changed. Now, how is it that it's even impacting in Bihar? Is it Nitish? Is it Modi? Is it a combination of two?
Well, we've been speaking about this over the last month itself. I think there has been an investment. First of all, I don't want to overemphasize the fact that women discount caste entirely. I think we were speaking to some analysts and they've been sort of saying that, look, caste remains the prime motivator of the manner in which you actually approach this election. But yes, women have shown a preponderance to vote in those who actually are guaranteeing their security. And that's where the Jungle Raj issue has crept up and hit the MGB quite strongly. Because if you really look at the numbers, and I've been sort of quoting them during the first phase itself, the split between the vote shares of the MGB and the NDA has not been that much. So despite the women coming out and voting in large numbers, I think Zach has used this phrase 11-10, there has not been a dramatic vote share shift, right? So fundamentally, I think this is the election that has determined over the last 20 years, time after time, that whichever side Nitish has gone to has tended to do better. That's why he's the gateway to power in Bihar, and the BJP has also realized this, which means that his connect with the woman voter remains deep. Because obviously, if he's moving from one rank to the other, it's not just carrying the EBC vote, he's also carrying the women voters with him. And this is what really is holding back the MGB. And that's the reason why the BJP has been hitting very hard. Anecdote after anecdote tell you that women, in fact, our own colleagues here will tell you how difficult it used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, to even cover Bihar because you had to get back to base, so to speak, by 4 in the afternoon before the sun came down. I think that's changed to a great extent. I'm not saying that, everything is hunky-dory on the ground. There is still crime, and we have seen the statistics. Crime is quite high, and number of criminals are contesting this election 30%. Also. 30%. Yeah. In fact, in this particular election, this particular phase, 60% have criminal candidates. 60% criminal candidates in just this phase. So it's not as if crime is sort of...
candidates who have criminal cases against them.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be a little careful that they're not criminals yet.
Yeah, whatever. But the point is they're all tainted. So, criminality, and with the Prime Minister talking about the katta and all of that, it's a big overhang in this election.
No, I just want this 11-10 that he was referring to on the wall, this why the woman voter is so important. And I'll flip the question also to our colleagues as to if Tejashwi Yadav, and remember this is the second election where he's being projected as the challenger, as the one who's going to unseat Nitish, he has to break this stranglehold over the woman vote. So what is he up against? This is, we sort of plotted it on the map in terms of the number of constituencies. So last time around, across the state, the women voter outvoted the male voter by 5%. It was 69 to 64. Eventually, the whole voter turnout settled around 65%. But a bulk of them, these are the 70-odd seats, 71 seats, where they outvoted them by 10%. So in each of these constituencies, for every 10 male voters, there were 11 women voters. So one extra woman voter for every 10 male voters. And a lot of these seats are going to polls tomorrow. These are the seats that made the difference as far as the last election is concerned. Remember, Rahul was talking about how close an election it was. If you were to look at the overall state, there's very negligible difference in the vote share. But in these seats, there's a 4%, more than 4% gap between the NDA and the MGB. And if you look at the number of seats also, the NDA ended up getting 3 times more the seats than the Mahagathbandhan. And the reason for that was because of the women voter. This is what Tejashwi Yadav is up against. A lot of these seats, like I said, a large part of these Mithilanchal seats are going to polls on Tuesday on the 11th. And if this has to turn, the tide has to turn in the opposite direction, then the MGB, and in particular the RJD, because they are the principal opposition, it's being fought on Tejashwi's face, he has to find a way to connect to this voter. Otherwise, at a 1:3 kind of a ratio where the other side is winning, then it's a problem. It's a problem for the Mahagathbandhan.
In this, how does phase 2 plot? If you were to see to the overall phase 2,
the 38. So 40 out of 70,
no,
4 out of 7.
122 seats. Can we see which are the 122 seats?
No, so these are those, out of those 122 that are going to polls on Tuesday, there are 40 seats, 38 seats out of 71 where the women are dominant.
Women voters dominant. So that's one part. Now this time around, is it true that the women are not upset with the current government? The other thing is Nitish factor. It was very interesting, you know, when one of your reports, and also Arun Singh, who's not there, I was watching that, and tell me if this is a sentiment that you encountered, where some people said everything is fine, but I think Nitish should go. He's done. He's too old. We don't have anything against him, but he's gone. He doesn't seem good enough. There was an ardent JDU supporter saying this. The other thing in Raghopur, there was this person outside a chai dukan who said कि इतना साल से यहाँ पर है पुलिया नहीं बनाए, ये बनाया है नीतीश बाबू पुलिया. And he said कि मेरा बेटा बीमार था, पड़ोसी का बेटा बीमार था, 90 minutes we were at the hospital. Otherwise it would have taken us 6 hours and that child would have died. Now this sentiment about, you know, Purnia, like I said, New Zealand, when I met people, they said, Purnia में airport बना दिए sir. You know, Patna में उतर रहे हैं, नया airport एकदम, you feel good, collar up वाला moment है. These are things which people are saying. Are these factors which will work, or at the end of the day, will they go back into those caste lines, Aman?
Well, I think caste, Anand, is something you can never discount in Bihar. At the end of the day, caste is an extremely important factor in Bihar. The parties distribute, you know, candidate seats like that, and the people really look up to their caste candidate. That's always the reality. But I think the earlier point that you made, that what does the woman think? I don't think the women in the state are tired or angry with Nitish Kumar. I think in this election, in fact, I'm seeing even from 2020 that women are even more enamored towards Nitish Kumar. They see him as a wise leader. You know, they see him as somebody who's dependable. And very interesting, the ad that the JDU put out on the first phase of polling, they put out an advertisement saying, जो 10,000 आपको दिया है, अगर आप हम हार गए तो वापस नहीं देना पड़ेगा. You don't have to return it, because there is a fear also amongst the women that if Nitish goes out of power, this 10,000 may have to be given back. See, Tejashwi took the lead by announcing rupees 2,500 per month promise to women. This was almost few months back. He put out posters all over. Nitish countered it by giving rupees 10,000 in one go. This has made Tejashwi now counter saying, I will give 30,000 in one go, and he's fixed a date, Makar Sankranti, January. He said all the year ki 2,500 installments, I will give you in one go. So Tejashwi also realizes that the woman voter, you know, already, and we've seen this after election after election, whoever gives the money the first gets a poll advantage, because people feel paisa aa gaya hai, and this 10,000 scheme also has this benefit that 2 lakh, you know, can go up to 2 lakh in future if you give a. So I think that is very, very important in this election. Women really feel that 10,000 we have to keep, and you know, they've already bought, you know, livestock and sewing machines out of it. Another thing I feel on the issue which we have not spoken about, the jobs issue. Yeah. I think if you go to the youth in Bihar, the jobs is a major issue. You also see both the parties competing on that. You first saw Tejashwi say, I'll give 3 crore jobs. BJP rubbished it, saying 3 crore can never be given, government jobs can never be given. But in their manifesto, they've also promised 1 crore jobs. You know, saying it's a mix of government, private.
They said we'll create opportunities for 1 crore jobs.
I asked, so on the day of the polling, I think it's a failure. I think it's a
1 crore job.
Yeah, go on, Payal, go on. 1 crore jobs?
The 1 crore job that the BJP is promising about is not just government jobs, they are private jobs and job opportunities, you know. Yeah. आप रोजगार कीजिए और रोजगार का opportunity create कीजिए. That's the promise that the BJP really has been making, because they called out Tejashwi clearly saying that the mathematics don't the numbers don't add up.
That's
the whole
a point.
Bihar ka budget is only
that's a point taken. The limited point I was trying to make was, if jobs is a singular, perhaps the number one issue for a large part of the electorate, and you had the data, I think it's 25% or 30% are either first time or second time voters.
30%.
Then it's a failure of the incumbent.
20.
And the fact that, the anti-incumbent is not able to make this into the biggest issue and thereby vote out a government, that's his failure too. You've had a chief minister for 20 years.
No, but
why is job still a concern?
No, but Zaka, that is the primary issue on which Tejashwi Yadav has been speaking. He has
so
not
the last two elections he's been speaking on this
so
issue.
He has
People are not voting for him on that issue.
He has been striking a different note from Rahul Gandhi. Ultimately it's an alliance. Yeah. But you see, Rahul Gandhi wants to drag the focus to vote chori. Vote chori. Tejashwi is the only one who's going hammer and tongs and wanting the focus only on jobs. But I also want to go back to this job issue. What is also connected is 10,000. In a household, one lady, 80-year-old, Lakho Devi, told me, सिर्फ बेटा नहीं, पुतहू भी कमाती है. So पुतहू is daughter-in-law. पुतहू का कमाना is a big deal now. So unemployment, yes, but how are you offsetting it? By giving the woman of the household some way to earn money. In Mithila, they said, नूना का अधिकार देबे पड़े. Which means you namak ka hak ada karna padega. If Nitish Kumar has paid 10,000 rupees, how can you not repay him in terms of vote?
Yeah.
So yes, there is a job issue, but as far as household income is concerned, this is also a talking point. कि कहीं से तो पैसा आ रहा है.
Is this a problem that the MGB is pulling the carts in different directions? When the core issue on ground is not SIR but jobs, should they have not then said कि बिहारी को बाहर नहीं जाना पड़ेगा? A simple thought there,
I'll just take a couple
Nobody's
of minutes
speaking
on
about
this,
it.
because there are lots of things which we picked up.
Yeah.
So I remember I first went to cover Bihar, and all this matters is that I was on another channel. They told me, please go and park yourself in Nalanda, because that is a safe area for you. A Mahila reporter that's a safe area for you. So I stayed there for 15-20 days. This time around, I was not given any such order from any of you, certainly not from Zaka. But I was coming back from Gopalganj, and this was around 3 a.m. after doing my PK interview. I got down at a dhaba. And what really struck me is I'm going back to Bihar after 10 to 15 years. And I was sitting at this dhaba alone having chai. My driver and my VJ were in the car. And I was sitting with them, and there were lots of women sitting there alone. Chai pee rahe the raat ko 2 baje, 3 baje. That was unthinkable earlier. That's the change. That's what matters. And when I spoke to a couple of women, I was going on the highway, and Biharis love to talk, like Bengalis, they love to talk. And these women were saying that we feel safe, हमारे लिए नौकरी है, we want our kids to work, but we also want to feel safe. And mind you, many of these women had their daughters who were going out to work. There are cafeterias in Patna. Why just Patna? Other areas, Bhagalpur. These things sound very trivial on TV, but they are actually a big deal. Salons,
life changer,
boutiques, run by women. And they are working late into the night. रात को 8, 8:30, 9 बजे दुकानें बंद हो रही है. That woman is traveling back home alone because the mother says, I feel safe. So therefore, this is important. Second, law and order becomes important because the investments is going to start bringing in what they're hoping for. That's the calculation, which is why Tejashwi is talking about jobs, investment, and of course the NDA is talking about it. You were asking me, Anand, do I see a shift in the strategy? Politics is all about little nuances and messages. If you notice, in the last couple of days, who's the one who's going out from the Congress party campaigning heavily? Priyanka Gandhi. That was a planned strategy. There was supposed to be Rahul Gandhi, he cancelled. I know he's being trolled for having gone off for that safari, but the reason behind the safari is that sister takes over. I was listening to one of her speeches yesterday or day before where she was telling people, 10 साल से आपका आदमी आपको पीटता है और एक दिन सुबह आके बोलता है मैं आपको नहीं पीटूंगा, will you believe him? For 10 years, the NDA has been telling you this. So she's correlating it with a woman being beaten up, not being safe at home and outside. Look at Tejashwi Yadav's press conference earlier today. He's making his sister sit next to him. That is again another powerful messaging. He's trying to send out on the eve of voting that, women are going to be safe.
But here's the thing, this last minute messaging
doesn't
work.
I'm
doesn't work.
अगर
इतना ही बहन से प्यार है तो बहन को DCM क्यों नहीं बनाया?
No, Anand, also
why didn't you announce कि मैं चुनाव जीतेंगे तो मीसा मुख्यमंत्री बनेगी, मैं नहीं बनूंगा? He never said that.
तो नहीं कर सकते ना,
ग्रज नहीं.
Also, मीसा and राबड़ी both said दोनों भाइयों के साथ, दोनों बेटों के साथ हमारी शुभकामनाएं हैं. So Tej Pratap is a factor, and Misa and Rabdi both have been saying that yes, they have split, but Tej Pratap के साथ भी हमारी best wishes हैं.
Even if Tej Pratap has been out of the family, let me tell you that Rabri Devi has been making calls to 50 or 60 people every day in his constituency to say that, vote for this one. And Tej Pratap has been the biggest revelation of sorts, given the fact that he's trying to tell everybody that I'm the actual inherent of Lalu Prasad Yadav. Look at the way I speak. If I speak like Lalu Prasad Yadav. Look at the promises that I'm making. So
and in Mahua, voters said, "Beta to Lalu ka hi hai na." I went to Mahua, they said, "Beta to Lalu ka hi hai, chunav khatam ho jayega, sab ek saath ho jayega."
But there is a point that I just want to make fundamentally. Just look at the numbers. It's not as
Arun,
if
coming to you after Rahul.
It's not as if the RJD is wiped out on the scene. Many people said that the last time it had a problem because of the way the entire alliance sort of functioned. The Congress being very greedy for seats, etc., let the side down. But they do have a core vote. So coming back to Seemanchal, why is it so important? Because the MY vote share here is 32%. And I don't believe, and look, there is, if you talk about the little nuances as you're talking about, look what's happened with the MIM. They're siding in Telangana. With whom?
With the Congress.
The Congress. So they're basically seen to be in alliance with the MGB. So fundamentally speaking, if you look at it from that perspective, so I don't think that Muslim vote is going to shift and get splintered in that sense. And neither do I believe fundamentally that the Yadav vote is going anywhere. It's going to perhaps go with. So in this particular phase, the MY is a daunting bloc.
But I agree with Rahul in terms,
so this fight is not
Owaisi
over.
had a certain novelty in the last election. Some Muslims were, upset with the traditional parties or, upset with the RJD. They wanted to give him a chance. But what happened after that? All his 5 MLAs ended up going back to the same party.
Going to the RJD. Eventually went back to the RJD. But the other question is it fair to say that the Muslims and the Yadavs will not vote for the NDA? Is it fair to put them in a bracket and bunch this entire 32% and say they're not voting for the NDA, BJP, JDU, either ways? Arun and Payal, and then we bring it back into the others. Go ahead, Arun.
Just to take it forward, what Pallavi was speaking about the law and order here, it's a first-hand experience. I just landed at the airport, and I'm giving you just the anecdote of that what happened there. So I was at the luggage belt and waiting for my luggage. You know what happened? A woman approached me. She said, "I've seen you on television. Do you come on?" I said, "Yeah, sometime here and there." And she said, I started asking. So I asked her, "Are you visiting Patna?" And she said, "I stay here. I work here." And then she narrated me the entire story, that how the entire family shifted out of Bihar when she was very young. In fact, she was sent in boarding just because of this Jungle Raj, as she called it. And now she's back in Bihar, she's practicing here, she's a gynecologist. So this is the story that I got from the airport as I landed, just to add what Pallavi was saying.
No, the story is, tum star ho gaye bhai, TV star ho gaye.
I think that's what I wanted to drive.
Yeah, Payal,
He's just being very modest about his appearance on TV. Anyways, Anand, to add where you're coming in from, the BJP is of the opinion that not all Yadavs will go with the opposition. They're we met one very important leader yesterday, and they seem to be feeling that in the second phase, some of the Yadavs may just really want to vote. As far as the NDA is really concerned. There's been a lot of analysis which has also been done in terms of, yes, the MY being one block, but what about the others? Suppression of these smaller castes by these larger castes has also been a real issue, and that is something which Owaisi seems to be focusing on. Owaisi has come there with a new strategy in place. He understands he's contesting a lot lesser seats this time around, just 24 to be precise. But he understands that what has happened with him. He's been saying that mere MLA to chori kar diya, but this time I will make an effort again. The fact that he speaks for the Muslim voices in one thing, he's speaking only about development this time around. If you listen to his speech, he's not been, harping on many other issues. When it came to even issues of illegal migrants, he had a strategy which was clearly in place. And when it came to, even embarrassing Tejashwi Yadav, and let me tell you that he said in my interview that Tejashwi Yadav को उसने इसीलिए अप्रोच किया था क्योंकि कुछ मुस्लिम स्कॉलर्स ने उनसे कहा था कि आप इस गठबंधन को ज्वाइन कर दीजिए. So he said that tomorrow they can't really complain that I'm Team B BJP, and therefore I did not write to them that I want to join their alliance.
No, did he make that offer knowing fully well that they will say no? That's another question, Payal.
No, but I think Rahul Gandhi is very clear in his head that he believes, for better or for worse, I don't know what the motivations are, but they are convinced that Mr. Owaisi is the BJP's B team. There is no way that they will formally at least ally with him. Of course, in Hyderabad, it's a different matter altogether.
Just wanted to take it forward from where Pallavi left off. Whether महिलाओं को पीटना, घर आके महिलाओं को पीटना. Why is that such an important issue? Because of शराब बंदी. शराब बंदी is an issue you cannot negate. So the Yadav voter, the Yadav Mahila voter, apart from the 10,000 chunav, is also thinking about the prohibition, and it's split down the middle.
Interesting story.
You speak to men in Bihar, they'll all say ये क्या कर दिया है, ये तो बंद करना चाहिए. And Mahila voters will tell you कि ठीक है, ठीक से implement नहीं हो रहा है, but at least he's trying. So I will not be surprised if some of the Yadav women voters, even though Yadavs are solidly behind RJD, some of them, if on the issue of Sharab Bandi and on 10,000, if they decide to, not the NDA, but for Nitish Kumar.
But on this Sharab Bandi point, apparently of all the political parties in the fray, RJD. I think only PK has said that he will take off.
Yes, PK has said he'll take off Sharab Bandi because it's not working. His point of view,
it's not working at all.
It's not working. But this is interesting insight. Outside of Bihar, Bihari family just group having a conversation, and one of the men folks said, "Yeah, this whole prohibition thing is a wasted thing. हटा देना चाहिए. कोई शराबबंदी से कुछ शराब बंद नहीं हो रहा है." The immediate reaction that came from the women folk.
Home delivery हो रही है.
नहीं, home delivery हो रहा है. क्यों होगा बंद जी? अभी महंगा है तो कम पी रहे हो.
But कम नहीं पी रहे आनंद. कम नहीं पी रहे.
महंगाई का issue आगे भी है.
The reaction is कि अगर खोल देंगे तो तुम तो मारने पीटने उतर जाओगे, सड़क पे उतर जाओगे, तो अभी तुम्हारा control. That is a reaction for people who are not in Bihar. उनको there are no provision.
Last time I narrated this story, I'll just recap it for you. Darbhanga, गांव, बिल्कुल बीच गांव, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I walked in and started speaking to random villagers there. One young man, 22 to 25, very vociferously, शराब बंदी होनी चाहिए, and I walked closer to him with the mic. He's reeking of alcohol. At 3 in the afternoon, not being able to stand straight.
So
That's the reality
Bihar
of Bihar.
The saying is that कमरे में बैठ के शराब पीना ठीक है, बाहर झूमना मना है. झूमना मना. Don't go out because you'll get arrested. You can sit and have it in your room. But I think Anand, overall, I think this election, I think is mostly about Nitish Kumar. This is his last election. He is probably his last election. He is the chief minister for the last 20 terms. Last time the people did not vote wholeheartedly for Nitish Kumar. There was anti-incumbency. He only won 43, 44 seats out of the 115 seats his party contested.
You think they'll strike better this time?
But this time I think a lot is going for him. One, I think the public sympathy, public empathy is with him. Also, I think the two factors
the
which
BJP is also consolidating with him.
Also has
Chirag Paswan is no longer there as the attack dog trying to attack Nitish.
Chirag and Upendra Kushwaha, both who were last time had hurt him, at this time with the NDA. So I think all that is helping Nitish Kumar this time. And I think people don't want, I said this earlier, people don't want to retire him with a defeat. People have a lot of gratitude for Nitish Kumar. They say that, okay, let Nitish Kumar choose his time of retirement, but we will not retire him with an election defeat.
Yes, Payal, complete.
Well, the point that the BJP has also been making over the last few months as they run up to the election was very simple, Anand. That, the way we handle the whole Nitish Kumar issue, that is going to decide which way the election will really go.
Yeah.
One criminal mistake, according to the BJP, that the opposition has made is by making fun of somebody who is, probably unwell. But let me tell you that Nitish Kumar's close circuit tells you that he never signed the wrong file. He's completely active when he's signing a file. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made a mention of Nitish Kumar's file notings in multiple meetings with the Chief Minister, saying that learn from him. This is the way he conducts himself as well. So that battle has clearly been won because, making fun of somebody who's elderly, sympathy is being generated in a big way, and that's going to benefit them. And also a very, very careful consideration as far as the seats are concerned. It's going to be Nitish Kumar all the way in this election.
All right, viewers, I want to just bringing it to a close because we get into the second phase and the polling also gets underway in a short while. We will have the exit polls, and it's the News 18 exit polls. Yeah. So Pallavi and to Arun, and then we'll bring it to the the Rajya Sabha, as I call it. जो चुनाव लड़े नहीं, घुसे नहीं, but still we've been tracking it actively. Track the house of the elders. Chalo ji. But let me ask you, who's the weakest link, both in the NDA and in the MGB? Who's the weakest link?
I think in the Mahagathbandhan it's pretty obvious. It's Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party, and I saw that happening there only because they're very, very unhappy with Rahul Gandhi. And as I had reported earlier, only they had to cut down on the joint rallies because they didn't want him there. And then conveniently the sister goes in and sister is going to take the blame. Rahul Gandhi will never be blamed. In the NDA, I'm not that confident of Chirag Paswan actually being able to do it on the ground. I'm being a little cynical about it.
Pull his weight.
Yeah,
to be
pull his
actually
weight.
pull his weight.
29 or
Also, a
20.
lot of NDA partners themselves felt that 29 was too much,
too much,
for him.
बहुत ज़्यादा दे दिया.
I'll agree with Pallavi. The weakest link in Mahagathbandhan is this Rahul Gandhi's, adamant on making vote chori and SIR an issue. I did not find any resonance on the ground. On the NDA side, perhaps they spent a little, बहुत देर कर दी ये categorically कहने में कि नीतीश कुमार ही अगले मुख्यमंत्री होंगे. The weak link was saying कि इनकी leadership में हम चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं. थोड़ा और जल्दी बोल देते तो शायद it would have been a stronger pitch for India.
I think Anand, Congress won 19 seats last time. It will fare poorer than that. It will be the weakest link. I think it will win less than 19 seats this time. It will. I think Tejashwi may not do that bad. He won 74 the last time. He may end up around the same seats or maybe a slightly lesser. But I think Congress is really going to collapse in this election because their narrative has simply had no resonance on the ground.
तो बाबू आप NDA को 150 दे रहे हो?
नहीं, मैं दे नहीं रहा हूं. मेरा मानना ये है,
प्रोजेक्शन है वैसा ही है.
मेरा मानना ये है कि this entire election depends on what is the strike rate of Nitish Kumar in this election. If Nitish increases his strike rate from the last time, he won only 43 out of 150.
Which, given all factors considered and the whole mahal, it looks like he will do much better than 2020.
BJP is getting 160 plus seats. If Nitish does not improve his strike rate, it's going to be a tight election.
Tight election. Payal?
If you ask me, the weakest link over here is obviously going to be Chirag Paswan. I agree with Pallavi completely as far as that is concerned. Can he convert the votes that he has with him and add it with the BJP? That remains to be seen. 29, many feel is too much given to him. The strongest link in this election is Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar's party got 43 last time around. Their strike rate will definitely improve. The problem is that there's a lot of anti-incumbency against a number of BJP candidates. There's a lot of infighting within BJP's candidate. Nitish Kumar for me will be the overarching figure, and that's something which I'm looking to really watch out for.
Arun Dhanta?
Well, see, Anand, it's going to be very, very interesting because, see, they all have put their might into it, whether it is BJP or their alliance partners. They have put everything in this election. We have seen, Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah, and in fact, I was speaking to a few leaders in the BJP. Yogi Adityanath, we haven't spoken about Yogi Adityanath. They were saying that we are not getting dates of Yogi Adityanath. Such was the demand of Yogi Adityanath in various
dates मिल नहीं रहे थे कि दिए नहीं जा रहे थे.
NDA, and in fact, still they.
Appu Pappu Tappu.
No, Appu Pappu Tappu came very late. There was talk that Yogi was not being given campaigning time. Is that true?
Well, I don't think that's true because Yogi was here. He did a number of rallies. The Deputy CM Keshav Prasad Maurya is a co-in charge. As far as the BJP is concerned, Brijesh Pathak was very much there. UP was amply represented.
Okay. No, it is not about UP being represented. It was about Yogi getting how many campaigns. Yes, Rahul.
Look, I fundamentally believe that this time the voter went in and has gone in pretty decided. There is not much anti-incumbency. A lot of people I've spoken with, even Congress spokespeople who've come out and said that mahal bahut thanda hai ground pe. There isn't any real anger against either Nitish or the government, which means that, look, for anyone to then position themselves an alternative, they have to show something that they're capable of doing. And that's where the problem is. There isn't much of an anti-incumbency on the ground.
Escape velocity is missing.
I don't know about that, but there's...
Wrap up. So, again, I go back to this point about the Congress party. So, Congress, I think, is fighting 61 seats. 50 of those 61 seats, they're fighting against either a BJP candidate or a JDU candidate. Those are the stronger parties in the NDA alliance.
And some against the RJD
not to forget
and of course, other than the friendly
themselves.
fights. But in this official 61, 50 of those 61 seats, they're fighting against either BJP or JDU, not against the smaller parties. And I don't think the Congress can convert, let's say, even 25 out of those 50.
Well, those are the seats the Congress, a lot of them, 19 of them, they wanted because they thought, we have won it last time, we'll win it this time around again. But many believe their strike rate is going to be poorer. But if Nitish Kumar strikes well, if he takes his party home and out of those 100-odd seats that they are fighting, if they are able to try and get a higher strike rate, more than 60%, then is the NDA going to cross 160? The voting turnout in the second phase will tell. And of course, you'll get an indication on the News 18 exit polls. So you're going to stay with us here on CNN News 18 right through. The Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha is all there in continuous coverage. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.